Breaking tonight, a local woodworker, identified as Jordan Berry, reportedly set his garage shop on fire while attempting to build and generously give away free woodworking plans to his YouTube subscribers. Authorities say the channel, known as Guardian Woodworking, specializes in beginner projects, shop tips, and apparently bad advice.
So that's a news story you could have seen on the news if I didn't do the few things I'm gonna show you I did to not only keep my garage nice and toasty warm in the winter, but to do it safely. It's getting cold outside, the days are getting shorter, it's getting darker earlier. It's time to unplug the saw and head in for the winter and do nothing on the couch, right? Wrong. Right now is where we need our shop and our hobby more than ever. Let's go ahead, warm the garage up so we can keep building cool stuff year round. Let's go. So step number one, you're gonna shut the front door. It's that simple. Your garage is gonna stay warm. No, I'm just kidding. Don't worry, not every tip in this video is gonna be that simple and obvious. But seriously, you want to shut your garage door during the daytime, shut the light off, and then stand in the dark garage. Then you'll be able to see the light that comes in the sides, the top, or the bottom. And wherever there's light coming in, there's gonna be cold air coming in as well. So that'll give you a good reference on what needs to be fixed. The same also goes if you have any windows or doors in your garage. I don't, I just have the front two, the 2-stall and the 3rd stall over there. So I don't have to worry about any drafty windows or doors, but if you have drafty windows or doors, seal those up as well. If there's a lot of light coming into the garage, there's probably 2 things that could be wrong. The first is this weather strip out here. There should be a weather strip along all 3 sides of the garage door, side, top, and the other side. If there's not, you found the main issue. You're gonna wanna get some weather stripping and use a hammer and a few nails to tack it in all along. You want it to be nice and snug up against the garage door. That way the weather strip is actually making contact with the door. If you do have a weather strip, you just wanna make sure it's not worn out. These are fairly inexpensive to fix and replace, so I'd recommend going and getting some new ones, or you can, try to salvage whatever you have. Something else that could be wrong though is if this weather strip was not installed correctly and it's not close enough to the garage door, it may be too far forward. So you might have to take a pry bar or a crowbar of some sort and pry this off and then reattach it closer to the garage. Every garage door should also have some sort of rubber strip along the bottom. That is there for 2 reasons. One is to keep cold air from coming in. Also, it is to keep moisture from coming in. So rain, sleet, hail, snow, anything from coming up underneath and, getting inside of your garage. You also want to check if you have light coming through here. Maybe you have some holes in your cement that needs to be fixed, or maybe the rubber on the bottom of your garage door needs to be replaced. That's also somewhat of an inexpensive fix you can do to really help keep the cold air out of your garage. Here's an example of the weather strip being way too far away from the garage door. We have a huge gap here. Obviously, I have the garage door pulled up, so it's pulling away from it, which it's supposed to do. But if your garage door is fully shut and you still have this gap here, you have a real issue, and that's why your garage is getting so cold. So you want to make sure that you either push this weather strip, take it off and attach it closer to the door, or you do what I'm about to show you next. So every garage door has these brackets on the inside of the garage, and what you can do is loosen these with a socket wrench and adjust the track forward and back. So if you have a huge gap between the door and the weather strip on the outside, and you push the weather strip up flush with the board of the garage here, and you still have a gap, then you would want to come inside the garage, loosen these up, and then you can push the whole track closer to the front of the garage. So once you've adjusted the weather strip on the outside, you've checked the base, the seal on the bottom of the garage, and you've adjusted the brackets on the inside, you can come back in your garage, shut the light off, shut the front door again, and then check to see if there's any daylight creeping in. And if there is daylight creeping in, then you can tell that daylight to get the heck out of here because you're trying to build some cool stuff in the shop. Actually, what you should do is keep adjusting the brackets on the garage door, micro adjustments until you're able to completely seal it up and there's no more daylight coming in. You do want to be careful not to make too many major adjustments on the brackets on the sides. This can throw off the alignment of the door and then you might have some pinching. So whatever you do, just do micro adjustments, like I said, until you see very little to no daylight on all 4 sides of your garage door. Speaking of building cool stuff, if you guys want to build some cool stuff and get some free plans, check out the description in the link below. No? Check out the link in the description below. That's the one. Just go down there and you'll see it. Tip number 2 to keep your garage shop warm all winter long is insulate the doors. So for about 15 to 20 bucks a sheet, depending on the thickness you get, you can buy this styrofoam insulation at pretty much any hardware store. These 4x8 sheets, and you can cut them down and fit them inside of your garage door panels here. You can actually see these are just floating on the inside here. They cut them to size, squeeze them in. They have this little flashing here to actually help keep air from seeping in and out as well. These work really well. You will be shocked at what a little bit of styrofoam between you and the outside will do to keep your garage warm. Since we're on the topic of insulation, let's go ahead and move on to that tip, and that is to insulate your garage if you can. A shop that I was working in before this had the sidewall and the back wall were not insulated. The rest of it was because it was touching the house. But these two walls were not insulated and it lost heat very quickly. If you can, insulate all the exterior walls. Just having the garage shop insulated alone and having both garage doors sealed, making sure there's no air seeping in and out, generally keeps it around 35 to 40 degrees when it's below freezing outside. We have an abnormally warm day here, so it's about 50 degrees in the shop, but generally we're around 35 to 40. Still a little too cold for me to work out here. I like to be able to feel my fingers when I'm woodworking, so let's go ahead and move on to the next tip. I'm gonna get into space heaters more in a little bit, but you may be thinking, okay, so your garage is insulated, the front doors aren't leaking any cold air in, so you can just put a couple space heaters in here and you should be able to warm it up, right? Well, unless you got a big 220 volt in your garage and you're able to run all the power tools at the same time, you're probably not going to be able to heat and maintain the heat in this large space. So my goal here is to enclose a space in this garage using some very cheap materials and then using a space heater, also not a very expensive. This is a 110 volt space heater, so we're not gonna do any rewiring or anything like that, and be able to keep it warm. I'd like to see if we can get up to 70 degrees in here while running the space heater and running the power tools like the dust collection and the table saw at the same time without tripping any breakers. So let's go ahead and get started with that. So to create a smaller space in my garage shop, I'm actually going to just be using this medium duty tarp I got from Walmart. You can get it off Amazon too. I got the link in the description if you want to check it out, for about 35 bucks. This is a 12 by 24 foot tarp, which should be enough to section off most of the garage. You can use your old tarps, you can buy new tarps, you can do whatever you want. All right, so here's what we got going on here. You can see the beam up there. We're going to attach the tarp from here all the way along here to this corner and all the way to here. So to start hanging the tarp to section off the garage shop here, I'm gonna be using these furring strips I got from Menards down the road. This is really quick and cheap for me. These were about $1.30, $1.40. Just gonna take these and run them along the beam up top, then use some 3-inch screws and basically pinch this between the wall and the furring strip. Goodness. The only thing worse than this is trying to fold a fitted sheet for your bed. Try not to kill yourself when you climb up the ladder, but step one here, I'm just gonna take the tarp and put a temporary nail in to make sure I like where it sits, and then that way I can pre-drill for the furring strips. So we're gonna take our first furring strip here. I'm going to measure in 1 inch from the end, pre-drill, then I'm gonna measure in 37 inches from the end, or 36 inches from the first hole, and then pre-drill another hole, go all the way down until I run out of board. We're gonna get this first one up, and then we will go ahead and do the rest all the way around the wall. I have to make the turn up there, but this is higher than this one over here. So I'm gonna have to, it's not gonna look as pretty as I was hoping. Not that it was gonna look all that pretty. It is just a tarp on a garage. I'm just gonna have to do a little jerry rigging up here to finish top part here. All right, so you can see right here, I'm just short. This is the biggest tarp they had, 24 foot. I was off just by a couple of inches. What I'm gonna do to fix that, because I don't want all the hot air escaping out of this crack here, is I'm going to just take these couple black sheets here, attach them so that I can, reach the whole 12 feet or about 11.5 feet to the ceiling, and then just drape it down all the way to the floor. Probably just use a couple nails, honestly, tacking it on the top. And then I'm just letting them all float. I want to be able to get in and out fairly easily here, so I'm not gonna, attach it or make it too airtight in here, just enough to keep most of the hot air in. So it's not my prettiest work. My fingers aren't gonna care because they're gonna be warm, and that's all they care about. You right here. Walk in and tell me if it feels warmer in here. Does it?
It looks cool.
You like it?
Yeah.
Okay, so I started the heater about 30 minutes ago. It was at around 49, 50 degrees. We are now up to 56 degrees. So I'm curious to see when I turn the heater off when I go in for the night, how warm it's gonna stay. Come back out here in the morning and we'll check the temperature and see how this whole insulation thing is working. All right, it's the next morning here and it is officially 33 degrees now outside. And the real feel though is 14. So you can see, feels like 14. It's pretty cold outside right now. It got below freezing last night. Had this running until I went to bed. It got to about 58, 59 degrees in here. And I got it up on high. I turned it on this morning about an hour ago. And we are right to 51 degrees in here. Okay, so after running the electric heater for about 2 hours this morning, I decided to go ahead and light up the heater buddy to see how toasty I could get it in here. They are designed for being placed inside of tents or inside of small spaces, but you do want a little bit of ventilation with these. You never want a fully sealed room. So if you did tarp off your shop like I did here and you're running a propane heater like the heater buddy, you just want to make sure, you leave a little bit of a crack so that oxygen can always come in and out. It is going to allow a little cold air, obviously, but that plus the carbon monoxide detector you have in your shop, that you should have in your shop, it's going to ensure that you never get carbon monoxide poisoning. Now, most garage shops don't have 13-foot ceilings like this one does, so you're probably gonna have a lot warmer shop than this. So coming up here to install the smoke alarm and the carbon monoxide alarm, I can really feel the temperature difference. It's probably close to 60 or above up here. So I think what I might do is actually get a small fan and either mount it up top here, or even put it on the ground, point it up, point the fan up here down, and try to get some sort of air circulation since all the heat is rising so high up. If I can get it to circulate, I'm sure it'll warm way down there on the bottom where I'm actually gonna be working. If you're running an electric space heater, you technically don't need ventilation, but if you're running any heaters like a propane, a kerosene heater, you're definitely gonna need ventilation. So if you have any gas operated space heaters, make sure you have the proper ventilation and make sure you definitely have a carbon monoxide alarm in your shop. I went ahead and bought the combo package right here. This is from Kitty or Kid, I'm not sure how you pronounce it, but it's the smoke alarm and carbon monoxide alarm all in one. Keep yourself safe. There's no woodworking project or anything that is more important than your safety and your health. So get one of these and install it. All right, guys, here is the setup. We have the tarp with the furring strips all the way up to the top here. Not my prettiest work, but that's okay. It is toasty in here. I think what I'll probably do though is work on sealing up a few of these cracks around the edges here. I shut the heater buddy off a while ago. We're at 59 degrees. It's still climbing just with the little space heater over here running, right down here on the ground. Again, link to this in the description below. It's very quiet, sucks the cold air on the bottom, and you got the infrared with the fan blowing, the quiet fan blowing the high air out. That one is not running. I will not be using that one probably anymore in the shop. The infrared without the fan just has not really heated the shop very well for me, so definitely recommend getting one with a fan. And if you guys do need to kind of boost the heat just to get it up to temperature and then maintain it with an electric heater, highly recommend getting something like this. It's sub 70 bucks for this heater buddy. Again, like $5 for the propane tank. Something to keep in mind with the propane though, is that in cold weather, these can freeze over and get really cold, and then the propane tanks won't work as well. So just something to keep in mind if it's really cold, but if it's, almost 60 degrees in here right now, should be just fine. Okay, your shop is nice and toasty warm now. You don't have any excuses not to build some really cool stuff. So check out the free plans in the description. And if you like this video, I bet you like this one right over here. I'll see you in the next video.